Greg Horn is here with us too.
Okay. I'd like to call the Groseal Township Commerce Park Commission meeting to order at 4 o'clock. The first item on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Moran is here. Mr. Rathel?
Here.
Mr. Mans?
Here.
Mr. Filarski?
Here.
Mr. Hornby?
Here.
Mr. Tenova?
Here.
And Mr. Porcerelli?
Here.
Item number 2 is the any additions or deletions to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, at the very top of our agenda, it says 6 p.m. convene regular meeting. We need to change that to 4 p.m.
Okay, we'll make that change.
And also, I would like to add an action item for the addition of a maintenance personnel.
Okay. And Mike, we have no financial report or approval any minutes, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We made 2 changes. The time is being changed from 6 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and we're adding an action item B, which is maintenance personnel.
Do we need to remove approval of the minutes if we don't have any, or just?
The field just was left blank.
Yeah, we'll just go through it we'll just move on.
Okay.
So with those changes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Or
Motion by Mr. Rathel. Who supported?
Chris.
And motion by Mr. Rathel, supported by Mr. Mann, to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is the approval of the minutes, which we have none. And after that is the financial reports, which we have none. Move on to manager's report. Mike, is there anything you want to bring up?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The one thing I will update on the Runway 1735 progress. I don't think I've provided the commissioner update since my meeting with MDOT. Basically, we already did the submittal for 1735. You guys have seen, reviewed, provided feedback on that memo. We had some comments back from MDOT that a few justifications have changed, but basically what it boiled down to on my past meeting with them is that they're looking for harder data to justify the runway. So what they really want to see is a very specific traffic volume count on that runway. So the way we do that now is through ADSB data, and ADSB data got implemented. ADSB is basically a more specific GPS tracking device that gets put in planes now. They got mandated by the FAA. I don't recall the exact time frame. It was a few years ago that mandate started rolling out. So what I have authorized is our engineer to, they can pull that data in-house. So I've authorized them to have staff do that and update the letter and get it back to the commission. So if we approve the transition stuff here today, the individual handling some of the transitions will stay informed of that through our engineer and MDOT, and then get it back to you guys for kind of review the final submittal. So that's my intent there. The one or two issues I was having with that is there's a couple of factors in there that are affecting traffic numbers. Obviously, the first one is COVID. I mean, the airport was almost closed for 2 months with very little traffic. MDOT recognized that and said we could probably apply a multiplier of some sort to that to justify it. The second issue that's kind of there in the background, I think the FAA and MDOT are going to have to consider is the tenant base and airplanes flying in and out of the field using us for transitory stuff are very familiar with the deteriorating condition of that runway. So I would argue that in the last year or two, there have probably been less users than previous years because of the poor condition of it. So just a couple of justification factors to try to get some of those numbers up. The engineer is going to try to accommodate a few of those, whether it's through a multiplier or some justification that they can do. So really we're waiting now for the ADSB data to be pulled out, and that's mostly through tracking companies that they'll pull that and then process. So if before I leave, before my time ends here, I'll update if I get that. If not, it'll be the transition employee if you guys choose to make that hire.
Okay. Anything else, Mike?
Nope, that's it for now.
Okay, we will move on to our action item A, which is a recommendation of the airport manager hiring process, job description, and salary range. We have a resolution before us that reads, the Airport Commerce Park Commission recommends to the Township Board that the commission, in coordination with the township manager, be responsible for the hiring process, interviews, salary range, and selection of an Airport Commerce Park manager. They also recommend the approval of the attached job description and transition plan. Commission will make the final recommendation to the Township Board once a candidate has been selected.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rathel,
Support.
support by, somebody's got to raise their hand. It's hard for me to, who supported that?
Mr. Porcelli, I believe.
Oh, supported by Mr. Porcelli. Under discussion, did everyone get a chance to read the background that Mike had provided and the job description? And does anyone have any comments or questions about that? Mike, I think you did a good job of putting this together with, I know there were other people like Derek and John involved in putting this together. So I think it's a pretty comprehensive description. The only thing I didn't see in here is we need to determine the salary.
Right. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I left that open-ended for you guys to determine. I did not put a salary range in the job description. I didn't see that as my place to do.
I appreciate that.
I
Go
mean,
ahead, John.
I don't have a problem with it because of the top end. I like the cap of a top end. So if it's appropriate, Mr. Chair, to put something in there, I would be okay with 50 to 70,000.
Is there any other comments or suggestions on that? I think that's right in line with what I've had discussions with other people with. So I have no problem with that salary range.
Ron, may I ask a question, please?
Sure, Mr.
Do
Porcello.
you guys think that bottom, John, should be bumped a little bit up, or no? You're good with that?
Yeah, you know, it's always easier to go up, right? So.
Okay.
I mean,
I
if we
just thought that
find,
was kind of low, and I think you know where I'm going with this. That if it's that low, it's going to be low. But okay, whatever you feel is appropriate.
yeah, and that's why you have the upper, right? The range. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to just depend on what type of candidate we get and what their qualifications are. So, you know, in this job market, we may not get what we would hope for, and we may have to, you know, accept something a little less than what we would like. So.
Well, Mr. Chair, we did that the last time, right? So.
I'll see myself.
Yeah, it was tough last time.
So.
You guys are cold today.
So I'll just make a couple comments. After talking with Brittany Buber and Jordan Kemble, Brittany currently works down in the community development with Lori. She's a rock star. She is just, it's going to be really nice to have her there. And then handling all the Commerce Park questions, lease questions, business questions. Also, Greg has volunteered to be able to be available to work with her and ask any questions from leases or anything that Greg may be familiar with from the property management side. Mike is going to be meeting with Brittany on Thursday, and can you make that?
Depends on the time.
I'm here all day.
So with Greg pitching in there, Brittany is very smart and more than capable of doing this 3 days a week. Jordan Kemble, another good guy. He knows the airport, he knows the pilots, he knows what's going on, understands the fuel farm, NOTAMs, and all the things that we need from the aviation side to get us through. So, and then Derek, who was the airport manager previous, as a full plate, but he is definitely going to be available to work with Brittany and Jordan when needed. And between all of us, I think, you know, we have a very good transition team here. So I'm very happy and comfortable with this. The $18 an hour for both of them, I thought was good and fair. So,
John, do you have any idea whether, having never met either Brittany or Jordan, do you have any idea either one of them, would they be candidates for the full-time position?
well, Jordan would definitely be qualified, but he has a different career path. He's going to go on the aviation side. He's already applied for some airlines, and so yeah, he would definitely be great, but his career direction is different. I did kind of say, hey, Brittany, you know, you may want to apply for this job. And then I think Derek punched me in the head and said, no, she ain't leaving. they need her down there. So, yeah, they're Jordan would be good, but he's out, and Brittany would be great, but that would be a township personnel issue since she already has a department that she works in.
Okay, thanks. Any other comments or questions on the resolution? If none, the resolution stands as read with the addition that the salary range will be between $50,000 and $70,000 a year. So with that, we have a motion by Mr. Rathel, supported by Mr. Porcerelli. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is action item number B, which is the maintenance personnel. Mr. Rathel, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so basically it comes down to the fact that our maintenance person on the airfield now is retirement eligible. It's a pretty important position since we're dealing with aviation maintenance needs. The grass cutting and things like that seem to be taken care of well with summer help. But I just think that it would be wise of us, and Mike can address the budget with this person, but I think it'd be wise of us to, especially now, go out, hire another maintenance person, and learn the ropes, figure out what's going on, how to do this, so that if and when our retirement eligible maintenance person that we have now retires, we're not going to be scrambling, that we're going to be able to have a smoother transition. So I think because we have the revenue, and it just seems like a good time to add this person at this point.
John, has he given any indication that he was going to retire?
I don't think so officially to the township. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what is going on in the union. I know that any union employee, they have to announce their retirement, and that hasn't happened yet. So officially, no, Daryl. I mean, we can't say that he's announced it because he hasn't, but he is eligible to go anytime.
Yeah, and I was just wondering if he had mentioned anything, any kind of time frame, or maybe we should talk to him.
If Mike wants to address his private conversations or conversations between his employees, he can. I would think that all of our managers have some kind of an idea of what retirement eligible employees are thinking, or, trying to understand.
Yeah, a lot of retired people get part-time jobs too, so we can't assume.
Yeah. So I just think that that's a real important position. And we do have the money to add that. So let's, while we're making these changes and getting people in, I think it's a good time to add that position.
Any other comments?
Just one, Ron.
Yes.
This is for John or whoever's been on the commission a while. It would take almost up to 2 months, John, anyway, to get somebody in. Isn't it about a month for the applications to go out? And once you get them back in, then the interviews go, and then you pick somebody.
Right.
So it'll still be probably 60 days before you'd see anybody, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that it would happen under 3 months. They have to post a job, and depending on who applies, if anyone applies, is it in-house or you go out? So I would think that it's a 3-month process. Let's assume that the process of hiring a new manager is 3 months. So you start getting all these people coming in right around the same time, which could be a benefit to us.
And if I'm not mistaken, we had 2 maintenance personnel for a while when I first got on the commission.
Yeah, we've always had 3.
Yeah, there was more than 2.
Yeah. So we cut that back quite a bit.
It went 3 to 1, John, about 8-10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago.
Well, when this commission was formed, I think 12 years ago, Ron, is that kind
I think
of the
so.
time?
Yep.
We had 2, but it was 3 before then, and I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think Lyle retired and we didn't replace him. But you can argue whether or not we've been able to take care of it with one person. We've needed help, and I think maybe, if we have 2 now and then we get to retirement, the new manager would be, in a position to understand whether or not we need another one, or we just go back to 1. But I just know 0 is not good.
Mr. Chair, I can make a few comments if you'd like.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, let me add one more.
Mr. Filarski first, and then Mike.
So yeah, one thought on that too is, perhaps, if we get the right person, we may be able to utilize 2 people to do some of these, some little projects that we may otherwise outsource as well. So, from that standpoint, I think we could have the redundancy in case the guy leaves, and do perhaps a little bit more for day-to-day stuff, and maybe expand the scope of what they do. So that's all.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%, Daryl. I come from this place when we did everything, full scope of soup to nuts. So,
Mike, you want anything to add?
Yeah, I can add. Daryl's comment was, I'll touch on that in a second. He hit the nail on the head with that one. In terms of the employee, we cannot confirm through union or himself a retirement date. The individual is eligible. Through conversations, I would believe, my feeling is that the retirement is closer than longer. I'm not sure that you'll ever get a longer term commitment out of the individual on when that retirement date will be. It may be a shorter term commitment where, the airport could get left in a situation where there's overlap without a maintenance individual. So I don't think it's a bad move to do. I think there would be a cross-training benefit there as well if the individual does stay for a little while, because there's a lot of systems like our fuel farm and the maintenance shop that's really good to learn your way around and kind of the flow and weekly operations of the airport. And then having somebody that has some knowledge is key in that position too. And in terms of that, yeah, I mean, I think the ideal setup, if budget wasn't an issue for me, the ideal setup would be 2 maintenance employees and a 3-day a week employee in the office to do some of the financials and field some of like the busier, the busy work calls, like basic leases and that kind of stuff. Obviously, budgetary things aside, I would go for more of the maintenance side of things first. And to Daryl's comment, nail on the head. My comments to Mr. Rathel this week too were, if you do, moving forward, I think it'd be beneficial to, whether it's paid to get additional training, have the new hire, or if you're going to go 2, each have basically cross-trained in one type of training that can offset expenses for the airport, whether it's electrical, plumbing, door repair for all of our hangars, that kind of stuff. Because yeah, we spend a lot, with one employee, we're spending a lot of money on contractors, especially today. I mean, in this day and age, we're begging contractors to come out and do work for us. And, we're kind of at the whim of whatever they're going to charge to get a decent contractor out. So again, I think getting some training for a new employee would be beneficial to offset some of those expenditures.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Rathel, do you want to make a motion then?
Yeah, I move that we give authorization to the township manager to post a new additional maintenance personnel position at the Grosseal Municipal Airport. And then if we need to have a description of what that is, you just have to get with.
I have one. Yep.
Have a motion by Mr. Rathel.
Support.
Support by Mr. Mans.
Myself and I think Mr. Porcerelli. So whoever you want, give it to Mr. Porcerelli.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Rathel, supported by Mr. Porcerelli. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item is subcommittee reports. We have none today. Any discussion items? Hearing none, the chairman's report. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank Mike for his service. Sorry to see you go, Mike, but understand that it's a career path move for you. And I've enjoyed working with you these past number of years, and you've done a great job the last couple of years of really help us to increase our revenue and getting a lot of the projects done here in the last couple of years. So thank you for that, and we wish you well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I second
Mr.
that.
Chair, I probably should have said this under discussion real quick. I had asked Mike, I think it's fitting that we are able to send him off in person. So I'd asked him if he would be willing to come back to our next in-person Commerce Park Commission meeting. And he said that he would, but I'd like to, basically, do what I think is appropriate in person with Mike, if you guys don't mind that.
Love it.
It's fine with me, as long as he's willing to attend.
I did promise him that we'd name the airport after him to come down and do that. But yeah, he said no. He would rather.
Please don't.
He said the supervisor's office would be good enough to be named after Duker's supervisor office or something. What did you say? That was kind of.
Any public comment?
Ron, can I just add something? I'm sorry.
Sure,
Can I add
Mr.
one thing?
Porcerelli. Yep.
Maybe I'm not really clear on why the township now is putting people's retirements on the consent agenda. I'm not quite clear of that, because it means that you really can't say much when the individual comes up. Some don't, some as an action item. John, maybe you can help me out on this one from being a township.
Well, it's real easy, Joe. It's a power of four, right? So when you have your meeting, if there's additions and deletions to the agenda, you're going to add this agenda item because for some odd reason it was pulled off the main agenda, which probably could have destroyed our funding for years and changed the complexity of the airport, of the taxiway, which you're going to add. You're going to add this. You can ask that Mike Duker's retirement be removed from the consent agenda, and have a second. You need 4 votes to do that.
Well, on the consent though, John.
One
On the
board
consent-
member asked for it off.
Oh,
the
so on
consent
consent agenda, Mike's saying just one. You can ask to remove it off the consent agenda, and they would do that.
just one member.
But John, at the end of the consent agenda, they do give you time to say something though, correct? I mean, there is discussion for the entire agenda. I just want to make sure Mike gets his due. I'm kind of confused why, someone retiring gets the action item and someone gets the consent agenda, if you know where I'm going with that.
Well,
I just don't.
I mean, you'd have to ask the individual in charge of the agenda, but I know that myself personally, as a board member, I would remove the retirement and Mike from the consent agenda and allow some brief comments of nothing other than, hey, thanks and good luck. But a consent agenda, we never used to have a consent agenda, but we had all these items that we were doing individually. So we put them in a consent agenda just to blow through a whole bunch of things with one vote,
Okay.
So that's why the consent agenda is there, is that all these things are all lumped together, and, let's vote on them and move on to shorten the meeting.
Okay, because Michelle's in there too with the police department. It just confused me on why we are doing it this way. And I guess asking you isn't the correct thing either. I need to ask him. But there will be some statements though.
You can move it. I mean, you can remove it. I mean, you can move it out of the consent. Anything can be moved out of the consent agenda.
Yeah, but you said it. It's 4 votes, John.
No, Mike just said that it's 1. He looked into it.
One.
That anybody asking for an item to be removed, and you can, you can ask Brian Friel that as well, but Mike just said that it's 1 vote to remove a consent agenda item.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I thought it was 4. I thought the magic number here was always 4, and we can see that.
Yeah, check with Brian, and he may
Okay.
confirm that it's just 1.